broadcast network, Afterbuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. Afterbuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
I'll listen to the whole thing.
You know?
I'll be totally cool with it. Where's Matilda? Get the doggy down here.
Oh, memories of Bulldog and Brett from Wembley Stadium.
Pinky up, baby.
Pinky out.
Pinky up. Welcome, everybody. We are in Los Angeles, California. This is the Monday Night Raw after show right here in AfterBuzz TV. Of course, Monday Night Raw came to us from jolly old Manchester, England. And what a show it was.
UK fans are so much better than USA fans.
Yes.
Much better.
Without
absolutely,
question.
Yes.
Without question.
Phenomenal fans.
That's what you get for messing with Dolph Ziggler.
That was incredible. We just heard that right now. It was
That
amazing.
little kid. They didn't
So
show
passionate.
They didn't show who he was, but
I'm sure he looked
Oh,
very
no, he's
British.
the little kid in the yellow jersey.
I didn't
I
see.
think.
I picked that kid too when I was watching. I was like, probably him.
Probably him. I loved
He's
it
got some
though.
pipes.
We'll get to that point. That was one of the highlights of that match. There was a great match. But welcome to the show, everybody.
We should play British Bulldog music for the entire episode.
I think we should.
And he
Yeah,
just
we
looks
should.
so jacked right there.
Well, he was, and that's why he's no longer with us. He was a large
Jesus,
man.
Johnny.
Oh, too real,
It's,
Johnny.
Too soon,
it's
Loquasto.
true. Look, he was my favorite. I'm just saying that's why.
Too soon, Johnny.
Sorry, it is too soon. Let's get going here.
Come on.
Here we are. I am at Jay Quasto. That right there is the crown jewel
That
of
right
the
there.
Monday Night Raw
What
after
a
show.
great intro.
This thing right here.
Find her on Twitter at Cathy Kelley, and of course at Catherine Kelley, and you can see her on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. She's Cathy Kelley. What's up?
Hello.
How are you? It's very nice.
It's royal, very royal.
I don't know how to do it. I don't have the wrist. I'm doing it. Forget it. I don't know. That dude
Yeah,
right there, you can also see him every single week on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. He is the progenitor of hyper-optimism.
The first progenitor, thank you very much.
Sorry,
the first
dude.
progenitor.
The first progenitor. He says a lot of big words, most of which I don't know. Find him
Sweeping
on
away the competition.
Yep, find him on Twitter.
Don't worry, Kath.
his mop.
I'll teach you what that word means later. It's okay.
Find him on Twitter at Ty Matthews PMA. He is Ty Matthews.
What up?
Yeah.
Fantastic being here, as always.
As always it is, and I'm very glad to have this guy back. He's a friend of the show. You can see him every week on Paragon Wrestling on Pop TV. He is a spokesperson for Freeway Insurance, is it, right?
Yeah.
Dang it, Freeway
You
Insurance.
did well, yeah.
For Freeway the rapper, he's a spokesperson. Find him on Twitter at Exton Cole. He is Christian Cole. What's up,
Yes, I am excited to be back in the new studio. It's my first time here in this new studio. You guys pulled out all the stops. It is beautiful here.
Yeah.
We got British Bulldog music blasting. It's going to be a good show.
Gotta live. It's gonna be a great show. We
That's
got less than 2 weeks of Survivor Series. We got a lot to talk about. Let's
Obviously,
jump
And
right
a lot of change-ups as
Big,
well recently.
big news
So
since the
this
last time we were
was
here.
Definitely a Raw that everyone is going to want to watch to figure out what's going on.
Well, Michael Cole at one point mentioned, he said, the authority and everyone's working around the clock. They probably have been.
Right.
Trying to figure out what to do.
I think the writers,
Right,
especially, have
exactly.
been working around the clock. How?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm sure this happens all the time, but if you're kind of spend all your time writing something and then you have to change it up and then write a completely new, because
Yeah.
I mean, it happens a lot more often than not in wrestling. I feel like
Yeah.
nothing is ever in stone.
Right,
You're
exactly.
told what you're going to do 2 months from now, and that's never the case. But in this case, you had 6 days or 5 days to call an audible,
Right.
and that's maybe less, right? I mean, that UK show was only a few days ago.
Yeah.
And you're calling an audible with the biggest crown in the company and probably the most over guy in the company, and that's a huge audible to have to call. So kudos
Right.
to them for the tournament, too. I think it's going well so far.
And so, and you described the injury as what, the unlucky, what's it called?
In medical terms, it's called the unhappy triad.
Unhappy triad.
That
Okay,
means
yeah.
you tear your ACL, your MCL, and your meniscus, or your medial meniscus, all in one shot. It sucks. It's not good. In all likelihood, they're probably going to replace his ACL with a patellar tendon from his own knee, because that actually has the strongest resolve to it. So if you're just going to be sedentary, you can get a hamstring graft or a cadaver, but they're not as strong.
Right.
So they're probably going to do a patellar tendon. They're going to shave away any part of the meniscus that's floating around, and then the MCL will probably just heal on its own over time.
Well, Jonny Loquasto, since you're a kinesiologist, you get the pro mind. I'm curious. Everyone wants to know. Is this a career-ending injury for Seth Rollins? Will he ever be able to be the Seth Rollins that we knew and the high-flying moves and all that kind of stuff?
I don't think it's career-ending. Definitely not career-ending. I think 6 to 9 months is a little optimistic. I think they're just saying 6 months. There's no way he's coming back in 6 months.
So definitely not back by WrestleMania.
Hell no.
But when he's back, can he do what he has been known and paid to do as high flyer?
It's not going to be easy doing those 4 multiple flips in a row that he does, but
there's definitely got to be sacrifices made in terms of style after something like this.
Well, the sad part is he already was being a heel this past year. He was not doing as many of the flips, but it just goes to show you it doesn't. All you have to do is land the wrong way, and bad things can happen.
Right.
But honestly, I'd be shocked to see him back before 9 months. Not that he's not going to work his ass off, because he will.
Oh, sure. It's just the nature of this kind of injury.
It's a tough injury. You got to take every precaution possible, especially when you're someone like Seth Rollins, who's as athletic as he is. So I would say 9 months, possibly more.
Right.
My mom's torn her ACL 3 times, and she still plays soccer.
She's
Good for her.
She's a soccer player. Oh man.
Yeah.
Damn.
Anytime you're using your legs for anything, which is called life,
right?
It's kind of hard to tear your knee up really badly.
I think he can come back, and obviously maybe he'll wear a brace, and early on he's got to be careful, but he should be able to make a full recovery. It's just it's a tough road ahead for him.
Definitely.
But he'll be fine. I'd like to think so. There are no fractures, nothing like that, but those ligaments have a lot of healing time. And think about what he does every day. I mean, it's going to be, it's not like just us walking around or going back to the gym. You're doing top-level athletic stuff.
Right.
So I would say 9 months minimum, if I had to guess. But he might prove me wrong.
Right.
Do you think that it's a situation, though, like we've seen in the past when John Cena has an injury and they project a certain amount of time, but then he comes back a little bit earlier?
I would love to see him back earlier, but a knee is a lot different than a tricep. Cena's, luckily for him, has never blown out a knee. This is a blown out. Like, when you hear people say the term blown out knee, Seth Rollins has a blown out knee.
Right.
And that sucks.
But in the midst of this,
but we got to look towards the future.
Yeah.
We know he's going to have surgery, I believe, tomorrow. I think he's having surgery. So
it creates an opportunity for a lot of the mid-card guys, or the guys that are like so close to getting a push.
Right, absolutely. In situations like this where so many of the top guys aren't actively on TV, these are the sorts of situations that WWE can really spin gold out of.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the beginning of the Monday Night Wars, when WCW was rating all of WWE's top talent, that's when we got guys like Steve Austin, Triple H, The Rock. They built new stars because they didn't have their old ones.
Right.
And I think that this is an opportunity to do the exact same thing with Cena out, Orton out, Bryan out, and now Rollins out. Jeez. We've got to elevate someone. Or potentially, multiple people.
I mean, that moment where they brought up the 3 girls from NXT was like history making.
Right.
And I feel like they could do something similar with a lot of guys at the same time. Like,
Absolutely.
That would just be a moment.
Yeah, there's no reason that they couldn't do that multiple times. And they were even before we got, because in the midst of Seth Rollins being out 6 to 9 months, we've got a 16-man tournament starting tonight for the now vacant title.
And if they do this right, this could be as amazing as when Jericho won the Undisputed Championship.
Of course.
The final 4, it was Rock, Jericho, Austin, and I can't remember the 4th one. But nobody gave Jericho a shot.
Right.
And next thing you know, he's the champ, and it raised him up, and that was best for business. What's best for business, in my opinion, not giving the title to Roman, and obviously Cena's not going to get it.
And a lot of people in the midst of this tournament, were, before they released the brackets, were thinking maybe this is an opportunity to bring, Samoa Joe, enter him as a surprise entrant in the tournament, something like that. But I do think I think it's. I just hope that they don't go with the most obvious choices, at the very least for the final 4.
I mean, a lot of people, I think, were also saying Finn Balor as well, but I think that it's also a little bit too soon to bring someone like that up. Like, you want to build that anticipation of...
But then I think that's usually true, but I think the opposite is also true. I think a hotshot debut without any build-up could sometimes be just as effective.
I think that was great for someone like Paige, but I think with that, like... If they go straight to winning the WWE World Championship, don't you think that they could potentially risk?
Oh, not necessarily winning it. I'm not saying anyone should win it.
I'm saying,
but even just being in the tournament, maybe a surprise entrant.
If you had a Finn Balor or Samoa Joe come up and they lost, then that kind of like...
True, but they
devalues
did
them.
put Tyler Breeze in there, and we'll get to the match with
Right.
Tyler
Which
Breeze.
I don't
but-
really like how he's being booked right now.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
You're right. It's a weird beginning for him so far.
I think some of those guys might be stoked about being in NXT because once you go up to Raw, you end up kind of being in a position where not everything can be as consistent, and that TV time that you're promised on NXT, you might not get up there. So
Right.
I think Finn might be stoked about where he is, and he's definitely killing it there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think obviously the most obvious choice right now is a finals of Reigns versus Ambrose, but I think they can go at least a couple more directions with the final four.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get down the tournament so far. We have four matches tonight for the tournament. We're going to have, I imagine, 4 more on SmackDown?
Right.
Okay, so then by Raw, we're going to be down to
The quarterfinals.
and then it looks like the final 4 is going to be Survivor Series.
Right.
Which is pretty cool.
That's actually really awesome.
It's super exciting.
That's why it's got shades of the Jericho Undisputed Championship thing. There's got to be some kind of swerve, I hope.
Well, if it's got shades of anything, it's got shades of the Deadly Game tournament from 1998. And if you'll remember, that's when The Rock turned heel, joined the corporation, and became the corporate champion.
Yeah.
It's weird because even with their doing, we still had Roman Reigns, who was supposed to be #1 contender, and they kind of figured that out tonight, but
Right.
not necessarily fair. And then Sheamus with the briefcase, so...
Right. It is. I was thinking about that. It's just in terms of storyline, it seems less than fair to put someone with a guaranteed title shot into a tournament, for the title.
What if he had won the title?
Right, and they talk about that a little on commentary. If he won the title and then someone beats him for it, and he immediately cashes in and just wins it right back. You know,
it was kind of weird how Triple H started off Raw tonight. He hits the ring and he gives respect to Seth Rollins, calls him the man, all that stuff. It exceeded expectations. Then he brings Roman Reigns out, and right away he's like, "Dude, be my man, be my man."
He's desperate.
But here's the thing. To me, it says, because a lot of us were wondering, is Roman going to turn heel? Well, right away, Triple H comes out and is like, hey, man, just come to the dark side. And Roman's like, nah, dog. So not right away, that kind of takes any mystery out of it.
I don't think that takes any mystery out of it at all.
Am I wrong?
I think if you're thinking about it, that's the obvious choice that Triple H is going to go with. Why wouldn't he say something like that, But I think, if anything, it's foreshadowing, either way, that Reigns decides to go at the pay-per-view. Whether it's, a big swerve and Ambrose just ends up turning heel, or if Reigns, fights, and then decides it was all worth it all along.
I would love to see somebody in this tournament do a heel turn, and
Sure.
I don't necessarily want them to have that heel turn associated directly with the Authority. It would be cool to see a heel turn that's just personal and just,
exactly.
kind of an FU move to whoever they're turning on. But
Right.
that's why I think that this opening segment today at Raw, where Triple H was teasing, come over with me, maybe just a diversion so that you end up having a heel turn for maybe an Ambrose,
and I
it
think
means something cool and has nothing to do. He's a lone wolf. Then you have a Stone Cold style run where he's heel for a while, but because he doesn't, he's not Triple H's lackey boy, he ends up being a real true heel.
Absolutely. But that's the only problem with that is it makes me wonder if people are going to like him even more as a heel.
And that's why I called it the Stone Cold thing, because I think you could have him do some heinous act and then people hate him, but then they realize this dude's just badass and they like kind of his anarchy style and that against authority type of style, and then eventually he's just the anti-heel, the way
Definitely.
that Austin was.
Let's stop people.
Exactly.
There are a lot of options. I want to get to my concern, though, but let's get through the matches first, and then we can move on to what my concerns are. All right, so so Triple H is like, anything you've ever wanted, I will offer it to you right now, and everything that comes with it. Triple H puts his hand out for a handshake, and Roman's like, I've always done it my way. I've never taken a handout. Nobody could take it away from me, but it ain't going down,
He's
Playboy.
never taken a handout.
God damn it, King.
Exactly. I set her up. Didn't even know I was doing
Hate you guys.
it. He goes, you can take your offer and shove it. And then he said, thank you for reminding me why I didn't choose you in the first place. Your match starts now with...
The Big Show.
The Big Show.
The Big Show.
This was a little slow, but Show is in control for most of it. It goes for the WMD. Reigns dodges it, hits a pretty good spear for the W, so he moves on first in the tournament.
Not surprising.
No, I think out of any of the first round matches, I think this was obviously the most predictable. Really, if they wanted to swerve anyone, you'd see Reigns eliminated in the first round, but I don't think anyone's planning on that.
Yeah, no doubt. Any shoes move on from that match?
No.
It's all right. There's a match.
Nothing else going on. Let's see. And then Kevin Owens comes out to the ring. He's like, oh, you cut my song short. We'll buy it on iTunes, put some change in my pocket. And yes, I have pockets in my ring attire because that's how great I am.
That was great.
Just classic Owens.
It's awesome.
New
Classic
shirt.
Owens.
He's just a troll. That's his gimmick. He's just trolling people all the time.
And he did have a new shirt,
He did.
much like the one I'm wearing.
I think all of his shirts, they just say the same thing, just in different fonts.
Yeah.
It's less a new shirt and more a new font.
That is very... yeah, pretty much.
Kevin Owens got a new font.
You know?
Check out the
Nobody
new
appreciates
font.
a good font like
Check
I
out the new
do.
$25 font I got.
Oh my God.
He's like, I'm going to bring about change, but not for anyone else, but for me. And when I'm the Intercontinental and World Champion, it'll be the Kevin Owens show. Then we have Kevin Owens and Titus O'Neil. This was predictable too, but
Right.
I liked it though, man. Titus was strong up front, that shoulder tackle in the barricade.
Definitely.
Damn.
Yeah, Titus is, Titus has always been an amazing presence, and people are going to sit here, especially people watching on the internet, and they're going to praise Kevin Owens. But I actually have really been a fan of Titus O'Neil, especially his work over the last 16 to 18 months.
Right.
Doesn't get enough credit. Goes in there, does work, does a job for Kevin Owens, makes him look amazing. Titus looks great in the match too.
He did.
And it's kind of funny when you have a 6'8" guy like that who is just there to be fed to Kevin Owens, and then you wonder why the card is so thin sometimes when guys get injured. So love the match though. I thought it was really good. Kevin Owens always has great matches.
Sure.
Well, remember a couple months ago, when primetime players were tag champions, and we're all talking about, we're waiting for Titus to just have that big singles rise. Ever since then, he's been doing tons of personal appearances, so I guess he's been busy with that, which is great. Great ambassador for the company, but nothing's happened. We're not even seeing primetime players. And you mentioned how good Titus looked in this match. I mean, he's wailing away on Kevin Owens, looked really good, and to Owens' credit, he got his ass kicked.
Right.
Then, of course, the Papa Powerbomb moved on. But this was a really good match between two guys who knew how to work together. Because Titus looked great, but, of course, Owens came out on top.
Just two hosses throwing bombs at each other. That's the kind of thing that wrestling was built on, And
I
Titus...
can tell Cathy enjoyed that line of two hosses throwing bombs.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
But it's, you take someone like Titus, and I've said this before, you look at the days of the NXT, the game show version, and you saw Titus then, and you see just how much he's improved since then. The fact that he's in a singles match on Raw, holding his own against someone like Kevin Owens.
There's sometimes where guys, when they come in, whether it was NXT or not, when they come in, they originally lack confidence. And it's not something you can really tell unless you look at them very specifically. And in this case, I think that Titus has all the confidence in the world, and it's cool because you might not be getting the push from the company, but then you still come out there with swagger and confidence, and he's got it, which ultimately makes his opponents look awesome. So it's all much more believable, and I'm a big fan.
Isn't that normal or pretty standard for someone to lack confidence in the beginning? Because there's really, even with NXT and developmental or indie wrestling, you can't prepare for something like that. You can't prepare for an arena of 20,000 people and cameras and
what I was mentioning this the other day, and I think Ty can speak to this too, being that we're on regional and national TV shows pop in U2 America. Regardless, what I'm trying to say is that basically you end up kind of getting comfortable there, and then once you're comfortable, you can make that move. But in WWE, these guys are making a few $100,000 a year, sometimes $1 million a year. You have this nervousness of losing your job, and you don't want to risk that because it's your dinner for your family, and it's all these other things. So that confidence eventually comes in. I think that a DGAF attitude, so to speak.
Sure.
Where you're eventually just like, I'm going to go out there and feed my family or get fired.
And I think it's also an issue of how you show that, if you have that lack of confidence when you start, if that comes through on TV. Because I think that's, some guys let it and show through.
Well,
and some
Darren
guys
Young's
don't.
a great example. Darren Young was very, very unconfident talking.
Right.
And ever since him and Titus teamed back up together, they were having some great moments. Like almost, of course, New Day has now just taken over as far as the mic goes.
Sure.
But primetime players were doing some hilarious stuff, and D. Young was a big part of that.
I mean, at SummerSlam, they had one of their best matches in the 8-man tag or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, that was incredible.
It's crazy to think now that primetime players are actually kind of the veterans of the locker room now too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in terms of the tag team scene, sure.
I mean,
but
and they're acting like it. They're handling it.
It's just,
you haven't seen Darren Young in a while.
And exactly, it's like you said. I feel like they have these kind of start-stop pushes where they're the hotness for a while. They're the big, the number one tag team, and then you just don't see them for a while.
Well, because so much of the main roster is dictated by media as well, and what's doing well or what's trending on other shows because they want to play into that, capitalize on it.
And Titus is very busy doing all the public appearance type stuff, and so I don't know what the deal is.
But then there are people like Paige do lots of public appearances, so I don't think that that's necessarily an excuse. He's
Paige is pretty. I like
that.
She's great.
Speaking of Paige, Renee Young backstage with Paige, Cathy, and she recognizes her accomplishments, and then she decides to call Becky Lynch a rat. And tonight, she's going to take the B, and then at SummerSlam, it's just going to be her and the C.
These two have so much chemistry in their backstage segments as of late.
Definitely.
You're talking about Paige and Renee?
Yes.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, Renee works well with anybody. I mean, Renee is just, she's natural and she's good at what she does.
But they have a good back and forth, too.
They
like,
do.
I feel like
definitely.
they are either preparing something in advance or they just get each other.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And Paige really tiptoeing close to the PG line with that go home line. Woo-hoo, that was throwing some shade.
I mean, they used the B one before.
Right.
That's
But that
just
was
a little rough.
That was the B. I saw that one coming, but the C really it made me react when I saw it, I feel like that's in Paige's character.
Is it also that bad in the UK? Is that like
It's
not
not-
as bad of a word?
I think it's like an everyday word in the UK.
It's not nearly as
Yeah,
bad
that's
in
what
the
it is.
UK, yeah. But I think most of their fan base is in the US and they're based in the US.
I mean, they gave her a little bit of a leeway, I guess, because they are back in England. So, and her and Renee are
or she just has leeway because she's 23 and the face of their Divas division.
And I think something like that, saying something like that, really does fit in her character, especially lately with her, dropping F-bombs and things like that.
I mean, I think she's one of those people that if she does something like that, she gets scolded, and they're like, "Well, she's so young, like we can't really fire her for something like that."
Yeah,
she's
exactly.
really good. She's really good.
She accidentally dropped one on compadres months back when we had her on the show, and she called herself on it. She goes, "Oh God, I wasn't supposed to say that."
Yeah,
I'm like, it's all right. It's our show. We don't care.
But yeah, I think it works, and I thought that was a really good go home line.
Oh, it was great, and I like the fact I love when Renee asks follow-up questions. I love when there's freedom, and we talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
I wish the days of one question and done are over. I love
a lot of people they put in that position aren't really good at their job.
Honestly,
but they're not.
Oh, you're right.
She's awesome at it.
It feels more like they're given the outline of what they're supposed to do, and then they're just let them run with it and see what they do, as opposed to having everything scripted out, because you can tell when someone else writes copy for you.
And that's really what defines the difference between a human mic stand and a backstage reporter.
Yeah, and right now the only two people that can do that are Renee Young and Byron Saxton. No one else is confident enough to.
What's his name?
Tom Phillips?
Skinny white guy. I think Tom's really good, but he's young too, so I'm kind of proud of what he's doing over there.
Yeah, he's doing a good job.
But the girl they fired a couple months ago, and that whatever. I'm not going to sit here and bear anybody, but there's people that have been in that company who, if I'm going to interview you, Mean Gene Okerlund was the absolute best. I don't mean to date myself.
No, it's true. I talk about it all the time.
He would help make the interview.
Right.
I mean, Mean Gene would make it compelling by getting angry with the guy if he was being a jerk, or whatever the case might be, and giving follow-up questions. And that position has kind of died out, and it doesn't help the show.
And if you don't improve, you got to go.
So Renee Young is awesome. That's the whole segment.
That's what we're getting.
And so is
about
Paige, and their chemistry is great. And we're going to move on to Becky Lynch versus Paige.
Yeah.
Whoo-wee! Wow. Just a lot of good stuff here. I love when Paige hit the rampage right near the ropes. Becky just grabbed onto the ropes.
That was cool, yeah.
Really good, yeah.
At that point, I thought it was over.
Right.
And then they trade roll-ups, each grabbing the tights. I love how Becky wins with the tights.
Exactly.
I did not expect Becky to win either. That was
me neither.
really shocking to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's the perfect story that they're telling. She can only take so much before she has to start giving it back. And so I think she's finally starting to discover that edge.
The underdog.
That'll give her wins over someone like Paige.
Mm-hmm. And what I like about this is, we do have Paige taking on Charlotte in less than 2 weeks. But now Becky Lynch is a huge win over Paige. Perhaps this will set up for maybe a triple threat of some type. Then again, you still have Team Bad waiting in the wings. They have some stuff going on. Natty's trying to create a buzz there. I don't know. I love the fact that there's so many different things to talk about with the women's division.
Or does there then become tension between Becky and Charlotte? Because even though they're friends, Becky now thinks that she's deserving of a title shot as well.
I'm down.
I think I came in here the show after SummerSlam, so it's been about 2 months since I've been here with you guys. And I remember at that time we were going, okay, Women's Revolution, that's cool, but
when?
Yeah, and it was also
took a while.
it's not a real Women's Revolution. It's just here's 3 teams, let's put 9 women on the same segment and get them all out there. Now they're starting to actually put layers there, and it's cool. I think there's still room for improvement, but with the time they're giving them, they're actually building some layers, and I think there could be a cool storyline in the women's future going into WrestleMania.
I mean, there are multiple storylines, which is really good.
And that's even just that is progress enough.
And let's not even, we don't have to mention my dream storyline is Alundra Blaze.
Of course,
yeah.
of course.
I mean, I think that's a lot of people.
But you don't think she's actually going to work a match, though, Quasi?
I do.
Oh, I don't think so.
I think she might put the women's title up against Paige.
That's your little wrestling fantasy.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
I think the ability is definitely there. I don't think it's a question of if she can or not. It's just a matter of if she wants to and if they want to.
Here's the thing. Paige wrestles her mom all the time. She knows how to work with anybody. And Alundra Blaze, yeah, she's a little bit older, but she's in great shape. That'd be an amazing match. And then you go Divas Championship or Women's Championship, get rid of the damn butterfly belt.
Oh, God, thank you for saying that. We talked about that during the show. I mean, they've made the Women's Revolution. Now it's time for the Women's Championship to come back. And
exactly.
I don't want to hear about divas and all that. That was nice in 2003 with bra and panties matches. But at this point now, it's important to showcase the women for what they are, especially with Asuka coming up and a lot of other women.
But that's what they've been doing down at NXT is they're never referred to as divas. They're always referred to as either women or just wrestlers.
Right.
Yeah. So let's get all on the same page.
Right.
NXT Women's Championship, WWE Women's Championship. Why not?
Especially with Ronda possibly coming in the next several months. I mean,
do you
really
actually
have
think
Ronda
that that's going to happen, though?
I do, yeah.
You do?
Oh, yeah. It's huge.
Okay.
I mean, she's a big fan for a really long time.
I don't know that Dana White would let her get in a match, though.
Well, okay, and I hear you there, but keep in mind she already had her WrestleMania appearance. There was physicality
she
already.
Did, but that's not a full-blown match, and she didn't do extensive training for that.
I'll just say this, Kathy, Dana's going to end up having to let Ronda do whatever she wants because she's the biggest star in the company. And
Also a good point. Also a good point. And I feel like, but I can see both your guys' points because while I do agree that obviously she's a cash cow and she kind of has the leverage there, I don't think that there would really be anything to gain from having her do a match. Yeah. I don't think it would make her look any better, and I certainly don't think it would make any of the women that she could potentially face look any better, or men.
I don't necessarily think that if she wins, obviously it would make her look better. It would be
but then no, the only what does that do for the person that she beats?
The only match that makes sense is Ronda versus Stephanie.
Right.
Yeah, or Stephanie versus whoever with Ronda as a special guest.
And I think that's much more likely.
There you go. But
then we see another
that
armbar.
makes a lot more sense if she's just a guest
ultimately,
referee.
Ronda's a young lady. When she ends up retiring and having killed the entire MMA universe with her skills, she probably will end up with a career in WWE, which is what I think. Well, she'll be there for several years and headline. She'll be away from Dana.
Regardless, it's going to create a lot of buzz. Her even being ringside at something.
Yeah. And I think it's worth noting that all of these storylines are happening in the complete absence of the Bellas.
Oh yeah,
very true. And how about how Paige ends the match? She throws Becky on the announcer's table, puts her in the PTO. Charlotte makes a save, but just the visual of her doing the PTO
on the
an
table,
amazing image for sure.
Badass.
Right.
Moving on, another badass match. I enjoyed this one. Miz and Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler dressing like a hip roadie tonight, which is pretty cool. A lot of jockeying for position early on. Miz, whatever you want to call it. Miz locks in the figure 4, but then
Ziggler.
Dads. I like there you go. Cool dad. But I love how Ziggler wins with not even a super kick per se.
It was a super kick, but it was. I mean, like we've kind of exhausted this point. Finishing matches with atypical finishers, I
love it. I love when you don't have to win with a finisher. It's
Right.
made ADR more dangerous. It makes Ziggler look awesome.
Right.
And Miz did a great job in that match too, but I love the fact he didn't win with a finisher.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the super kick has been a finisher since forever.
True.
Right? I mean,
but not necessarily for Dolph.
And I agree with that. But what I was telling Quasto after it happened is, not to spoil it or ruin it for anyone, but the reality is you do that in the first round, then it becomes a falsie in the second round, which is kind of cool. So he'll try and drop it, and then someone will kick out and make it mean more in the second round.
Big time.
So, yeah.
Really,
but a good match, It
was a fantastic match.
Miz,
I don't think Miz gets the credit that he deserves.
I said the same thing last week versus Cesaro. Miz was perfect. Tonight versus Ziggler, he did exactly what was needed.
I mean, the dude has had a job for this long for a reason.
Well, for as much crap as he gets, I think that he has so much heat. Even at the live shows that I've been to, he gets more boos than I think anyone there.
Right.
And I mean, he is a jack of all trades. He can wrestle for them, he can host for them on TV shows, he can do media appearances. He's like an all around just company man. And he's also not afraid to do 7 days on the road. Never coming home.
He could find a Christmas bounty.
There's that. Yeah.
My favorite thing about some of the people that I see in WWE right now is how much they love it, and he's been there for a while. But when you watch Rollins and Rusev and some of these other guys break in, they just love it. They get it. I love seeing that.
The passion behind it.
There was a 6 or 7 year period where they were only signing guys who had no idea what the F they were doing.
But that's why it's so much cooler when they hire the indie wrestlers who just have been wanting to do this since they were 12 years old. Like, that's awesome.
Well, think about it. Why do you think the women's division's gotten so much better?
Because of Bayley and Sasha and the girls that
Paige.
grew up in the industry.
And speaking of which, meanwhile, their plant, Eva Marie, right?
Yes.
Not so much a mark for wrestling, not so much loves it passionately like we all do, and kind of sitting on the sideline and not getting anywhere. So,
but not to go in the NXT
Well, she's been
ranks.
in Paris.
Right. Not to go in the NXT ranks. We have no time. But the little blondie, Gianna Daddio.
Oh, yeah, Marley.
Oh, did she outshine Eva Marie last week?
Yeah.
A little 21-year-old girl just made Eva Marie
She's only
look
been
like
wrestling for a couple years.
Well, she made Eva Marie look like a doof. I know Eva Marie won, but she looked great, so kudos to her. Moving on. Zeb wants to talk to all the haters out there. He comes out with...
I love the idea that Zeb just heard that word for the
Haters,
first time.
haters.
And he's like, y'all, I heard we can call people haters now. It's like, yeah,
Netflix and chill is going to be in a promo 2 years from now.
Like, exactly.
Me and Jack, me and Alberto Del Rio, we're Netflix and chill.
Good Zeb.
To all you haters.
I like it.
To all you haters out there.
Haters.
He basically said England is despised and Germany tells you what to do. And it wouldn't surprise me if I turn on the TV someday and that Vladimir Putin is telling you what to do. And by the way, English women don't shave their armpits.
This was such a long promo.
So weird.
Yeah, it was really long.
went so long.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I love Zeb and Del Rio.
Trying to figure it out for me. I'm
don't
still
know.
trying to understand. Del Rio comes out to a humongous pop, as any returning wrestler always does, especially with one that had as much controversy as Del Rio did in his leaving.
Right.
So I was going crazy, like, wow, one day you're calling the company racist and you're talking about how there's racial tensions there. Next thing you know, you're a United States champion.
Well,
and
it
then
was
the
also
babyface
one
run
thing
is,
that no one really saw coming because everyone
Yes.
thought that he was still under contract elsewhere.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
And then the babyface thing has immediately already started to turn in, but it's a little ambiguous. Like, are they going to be heels? Are Mex America?
I think they're definitely heels at this point.
Yeah?
I think
yeah.
their story is Mexico and America can unite and nobody else.
Big time.
Everyone else is
But don't
awful.
you think that's going to get over in like San Diego and in Texas and in like?
I mean, they can
big babyface pop for that kind of thing.
all they need is 1 or 2 lines to cut on to cut a heel promo on a crowd, and it's already turned.
Very true. By the way, if you're on chat roll, unfortunately our internet it worked for 5 minutes and now it's not. So it's Cathy and I.
Sorry.
I like how the internet doesn't work, but yet we're streaming live across the planet.
Yep.
And how does that make sense?
I don't know.
We're hardwired in there, but
There you go.
I'm trying to talk to you
Wi-Fi's
guys.
all bad.
I'm trying to talk to you guys, but
tweet
I'm not
us and
able
we'll talk to you
You're
later.
here in spirit.
So I'm sorry.
You're here in spirit. Think us your thoughts.
If you think about it, with the Zeb and ADR storyline that's going on, there are politicians who want to make America great, and not all Americans believe in what they're doing. So I think that it is possible to make both Americans and Mexicans not like what they are suggesting.
Sure. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, all they need to do is just say something state specific, and they've turned the crowd.
Perfect timing too with the 2016 election really starting to
what
warm
a
up.
friggin' train wreck this election's gonna be. Natalya versus Naomi. This was a little weird, a little wonky with how it finished. Natty ends up throwing Naomi right into Tamina. Natty gets a roll up for the win, and then locks in the figure 4. But then she gets a roll up for the win. Sasha attacks from behind, but then Natty counters, gets her in the figure 4. Tamina kicks her. Then the
Do you mean the
statement.
sharpshooter?
I'm sorry, sharpshooter. My bad.
Leave.
Yeah.
You're
A
done.
lot going on tonight.
Done. Well, it was a good run, Johnny.
Then
Can I just say something for all my perverted wrestling fans out there? I thought Natty's gear was just phenomenal. She looks
great.
amazing.
She's been looking great.
She's come so far, and she's obviously a great wrestler. She has been forever. But now she's like, for me, as one of the guys who watches it, because the girls are pretty beautiful. Like,
she's badass.
Sorry,
No.
earmuffs, Cathy, earmuffs. So,
I was gonna say, I actually saw a picture of Natty from a couple days ago, and I marked out so hard because she was working with Bayley at one of the live shows in the UK, and that was
nice.
one of the first times where I was like, "Oh, is there video anywhere that I
Right,
can
right,
legally
exactly.
see this?"
I can imagine.
I like that it seems like they're really building towards the eventual confrontation between Natty and Sasha.
Yeah, that's true too. No, I think he's right.
Hey, what about Naomi and Sasha though?
I don't know, man.
Oh, I don't think that's gonna. I think that's far in the future. I think they're finally listening to all the crowd saying we want Sasha, and they're almost like treating her as the final boss of Team Bad.
But are we ever going to find out who attacked Natty? Did they ever declare who that was? I don't think
No.
they did.
And this certainly wouldn't be the first time that they've dropped an
But
angle.
I hope
Like when
it's-
Brie went back to Nikki with no reason
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
explanation.
It certainly wouldn't be out of the question.
If they declare Sasha is the one that attacked Natty, then I'm all for the program. I think it's great. It's cool that Natalya got a win tonight as well. But yeah,
They
But
might
I-
not even know who did
I think
that.
there's a possibility they just won't answer that. Who was behind GTV? That never got answered.
I'm taking.
But I think I like the idea that they're kind of treating it as this big confrontation, and I think when it eventually does happen, Sasha is going to get a big win, and really kind of, establish her as a dominant personality.
Sasha will be the Divas champion within the next year and a half.
Absolutely,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Hopefully, she'll be the women's champion
Right,
Yeah.
right.
in the next year and a half. Holla.
Right, because I've read places that dissension that they teased last week was all just an act, just to mess with Natty.
Yeah.
Like Natty is trying to sow the seeds by saying, "Oh, who's the leader? Who's the leader?"
Yeah, she was chanting for Sasha
and
tonight.
Team Bad is stronger than that. They're like, we don't care which one of us is called the leader.
Yeah.
We're a team.
Well, multiple storylines. We're
Yeah.
loving it.
Hey, everybody, really quick. In chat, Green Thunder says that Team Bad attacked Natty.
Did they declare that?
I believe that's what they are
I thought
implying.
Can you
they
make the chat bigger on that screen?
I can.
Well, did
One moment.
they imply it or did they say
I
it?
see. They referenced and implied. I remember, but I don't think they ever said like, "Yo, we're the attackers."
Right.
But maybe I don't know.
Right.
But shout out to Green Thunder. Thanks, buddy. King
looking
Barrett
at-
and Sheamus. Damn. I know no one likes to talk about Sheamus, but this match was. I'm sorry. King Barrett comes down with Sheamus.
With Sheamus, yeah.
And Cesaro.
Right.
Good God Almighty! The spots suplexing each other over the top rope.
Right.
Man.
There were a couple spots that looked like the video was in reverse because they
Right,
were just
right,
like
right, exactly.
not possible moves, but they did them.
To be fair, I don't think any of us think that Sheamus is a bad wrestler. I
Hell
think
no.
we all know how capable he is.
Real good.
But I think it's matches like this that really bring out the best in
Showcase
him.
him,
Just
yeah.
like
Exactly.
in the NBA or the NFL, matchups matter, and in WWE, when you're paired with somebody, it matters. And I think
Right.
Cesaro.
yeah, well, they always do this
Anyone that
cool
works
like
with
European
Yeah.
pairings when they're doing Raw
Definitely.
in Europe, and this was a great pairing.
And
Wayne Rooney, by the way, I'm a big soccer
Yeah.
fan,
Did good.
football fan. Wayne
Got a little
Rooney,
smack in on
and
Barrett.
really smacked the crap out of him.
Non-wrestlers
Not
always smack wrestlers so hard. I don't know if you remember the clothesline that Snoop Dogg did.
Oh yeah.
Blast
I was
him.
there for it. It
Yeah.
was a solid
Yeah.
clothesline.
But I mean, this match and
Sasha had a clothesline.
believe me, exactly. There you go.
Right.
But for as much as we all love Cesaro, obviously, I think that Sheamus deserves a little credit too. I mean, busting out the iconoclasm for the first time in
he deserves a
possibly
lot
his
of credit.
career.
They were both really, really good.
There was a point where he dropped down to take guard, basically, and then he scissored, took his legs and took down Cesaro in for a sharpshooter and picked him for the sharpshooter.
So Sheamus goes for the brogue kick. Cesaro drops to his back, hooks him with his legs, and just stands right up immediately into a sharpshooter position.
Insane.
It's one of the most absolutely insane counters I've seen.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Not only that, but earlier in the match, Sheamus goes for the Irish Curse backbreaker. Cesaro backflips out of it, lands on his feet, right into the Alpamare water slide. I mean, it's phenomenal
unbelievable.
stuff.
Every week he does things that you were like, no.
Right. And then not only just the pretty stuff, but they were slapping the hell out of each other too.
260-pound dudes
Yeah.
beating each other
I mean,
up.
even the uppercuts tonight were like extra.
Definitely. But it was absolutely one of my favorite matches in a long time. So just kudos to the both of them.
Really good.
Absolutely.
I want to go back and watch this again tonight because, like you mentioned, that counter is like when you watch that counter, all you can do is laugh. You're
Right.
like,
Right. It's the kind of stuff where you literally don't believe what you just saw.
Yeah.
Does Sheamus trade sides when he
When he does what?
does this? Because you can see like Bruce is on one side.
Oh,
and then he's,
probably.
like-
I'm sure.
Take a break.
He's got to switch it up a
He has to
little.
look down like, well, that pec's done.
Exactly.
I don't know, but wow, what a match. And Cesaro moves on, which brings me to my little concern.
Cesaro with a beautiful roll up, by the way.
Oh, that's that roll up.
Sheamus distracted by Wayne Rooney slapping the hell out of Barrett, and then getting just hammerlock cradled.
Yeah. So good.
for Cesaro to advance.
But here's my concern now.
Yes.
Concerned dad.
You want to know? Yeah, concerned dad. You want to know what the next round is?
What's that?
Roman Reigns versus Cesaro.
Right.
I wanted Cesaro to go to the Final Four.
Who's to say he won't?
Everyone on the internet.
Exactly. Pretty much anyone that watches wrestling.
My only hope, or my only, is Cesaro does pull off an upset, and that makes Roman decide to turn heel. But I still don't know how that.
I don't think. Yeah, there's no way Roman's not making it to the Final Four.
That's what I'm saying. Why would you put Cesaro against Roman in the second round?
To make it look good.
I agree.
If you look at those 16 people, and I think everyone agrees with this, Cesaro should absolutely be in the Final Four, without a doubt.
I have a theory.
What's that?
They could have Cesaro win, and somehow two of the competitors get knocked out. You don't know who does it, and so there's a bye that they put Reigns in for the finals, and that's how you find out
because
if
he was the number one contender.
Or he could turn heel, and the Authority could just give it to him like, here, this is just from us. Thank you for all that you've done. Join the Authority.
That's not bad.
And that's a good one. I wonder if they're still overseas next week.
I believe they get back next Monday.
Because Cesaro would be, he's huge overseas. Him getting a win over Reigns,
Right, but I think I don't think that's going to happen at all. Most that we can hope for is for them to just tear the house down, have an incredible match, and for them to finally realize, like, oh, we should be doing something with Cesaro, like that you will.
Like, really just amped up.
Right.
And I'm going to be angry. You'll see me hosting this show next Monday.
Angry Dad.
Zoolander voice.
No, because he did do Zoolander.
He does do the Zoolander voice.
Actually, I interviewed him, and he said that Zoolander wasn't his initial motivation
no?
for it. Yeah, he actually got more inspiration from Dodgeball, I believe. And
from what, White Goodman?
Let me hit you with some knowledge.
It is a little bit more White Goodman. Still Ben Stiller though.
My fitness consigliere, Michelle.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
Right. He calls Dean Ambrose a disgrace, and then we move on to Dean Ambrose and Tyler Breeze. Really fun stuff here. I love Ambrose early on, just getting over on Breeze and then doing the whole like model thing on top of the barricade. But Ambrose, I was thinking Ambrose was going to go down, but he pulls it off with a roll up for the win.
Yeah.
As he should. But, I mean, with Tyler Breeze showing up, it's like you might want to, get him over. But, no, I'm down with Ambrose winning.
Right. And it's not necessarily like he hit him with dirty deeds and pinned him clean in the middle of the ring.
There's that really cool back and forth for a while.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's just, and seeing that promo and seeing Tyler Breeze and Summer Rae together, it's such a natural pairing, and it's you wonder how it never happened.
Summer's the worst in this, which is the best.
Exactly. You wonder how it never even came close to happening in NXT.
Gosh!
When he almost dove on Summer, her reaction was so comical and perfectly done.
Summer Breeze all day, y'all.
I hate her, and I love her.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah,
great
people
stuff.
want to say what they want. She does what she's supposed to do.
Yeah,
and she's good at it.
Yep.
So as far as anything else on that match?
Nada.
All right, well then moving on. It's a new day. Yes, it is.
You're damn right it is.
They hit the ring.
Holy promo.
And
where's it at?
Where's
it at, Mark?
There's a tournament with 16 WWE superstars, and none of them have the new day. Freaking brilliant.
We were literally dying laughing.
We rewinded
We
so
watched
many
it like 3 times.
Because after like the 11th, you're just like, are they still doing it? It was like a Family Guy kind of thing where they just took it so far.
Harry Potter sucks.
That
no,
was
it doesn't.
Kofi with the line of the night. The straight ass face.
Just a throwaway line. And Harry Potter sucks. Moving on.
Raise your horns.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter.
So good.
For the captain, Seth Rollins.
So good.
Gosh.
Have you seen on Twitter our entrance in WWE 2K16 that one of our fantastic fans created?
That was amazing.
I'm not in it.
Why not?
You're not,
You weren't in it?
sadly.
Who was it?
It was me, you, and Hobo.
Oh yeah, we did a six-man tag
and we were
match.
the New Day.
That's right.
They
we
nailed
were.
us.
Hey guys, I think Cathy Kelley wants to be in the next version of
Is
She'll be
it
in it.
obvious?
Sally, whoever
Trust me.
who created us,
First
you
off,
know who you are.
First off, we got dudes making shirts for Cathy. We can have our own call.
That's
all right.
fair.
Give us
That's-
something.
Shout out to
that's
Steve
fair.
Howard
Yeah.
That's
for
fair.
rocking the shirt at
We can have
WWE
digitized
Manchester.
forms,
We got
y'all.
T-shirts. They get memes for her. They make.
She
We
can-
get
yeah.
nothing. We can get a call. All right.
Exactly.
One call.
Give her a call. That's fine. I'm just saying. It's nice that we get something occasionally. And Hobo looked great in that game.
He did. He absolutely did.
Are you wearing flannel? I think you're wearing some kind of shirt like
They're,
that.
I'm wearing flannel. I'm wearing
Yeah.
the glasses.
Plaid.
They nailed my beard too.
That was really good.
I mean,
Did
just
you bring your mop in it?
you know what, Cathy? You say one word that nobody knows the definition of.
Yeah.
And everyone
Hey.
thinks you're
No,
doing
everyone
that.
understands what a janitor is.
That's Troy McGuire's
It's
fault.
okay,
He will
Cathy.
not shut up about it. I keep trying to get him to shut up, but it's not working.
Yeah.
But whatever. You know, what are you gonna do?
It's a curse being this educated,
I
guys.
know. New Day versus Neville and the Usos. New Day in control, as is the trombone for much of it. Yet the Flying Usos. Neville does I guess a kind of a Red Arrow type thing out of the ring.
It looked,
Yeah.
whatever the angle was or something, it looked like he over-rotated in a great way. I don't
Yeah.
even know.
Right. It's if you're Neville, it's got to be hard not to over rotate. You know, he can. What's happening?
I love it. Mustafa goes, "Can I call in?" And then once we're melancholy goes, "Call the WCW hotline."
There you go. 9900.
No, Mustafa, we can't take phone calls. We don't
Poor Lee
have,
Marshall.
we don't have time. But in a couple weeks, at 100th episode of Compadres, what you can call in, but not tonight. So anyway, continue.
Was I talking?
Yeah, it was your
someone
turn to
said.
continue.
Yeah. What was that?
No, the thing is,
yeah. Sorry.
Go
yeah.
ahead, brother, you go.
When you're Neville and you're that agile and you can jump that high and you can flip that crazily, it's got to be hard not to over rotate. Like he's got to be actively reining it in all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was intentional.
What's that?
But
over rotation. Well, plus there's a longer distance between the floor and obviously the ring mat, so he's
Right.
used to doing that red arrow from that
Right.
distance.
And I'm not saying it was or wasn't intentional. I'm just saying when you're Neville, it's got to be hard
Yeah.
to really like pull back. You know,
And he was also probably feeding off the magic and
off the unicorn
Right.
magic. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's right
Exactly.
here. It rubs off. So, Eddie Hoozles, he's setting up for the Red Arrow. He's got Xavier Woods in the ring. Someone throws in the trombone. The ref goes to get it. Big E pushes Neville off, and then New Day gets the win. Loving it. Let's move on to the Wyatt family eulogy. Bray Wyatt is in the ring.
hashtag Wyatt eulogy.
Yeah, you know.
Hashtag Wyatt eulogy.
Whenever the show is heading towards a main event that isn't a match, I actually end up getting a little excited. Like I knew, I was like, wait, they don't have a main event.
Something's
like,
happening.
Something must be really cool that's going
Right,
to end this show.
right,
and
right.
boy, they didn't disappoint, man. That was an awesome segment.
Bray Wyatt says, "Change is a part of life, man. But you need to embrace change. Let's have a respectful moment of silence for the icons that are Kane and The Undertaker. This'll all be over soon. The apocalypse is here." And then Titantron goes off and some cool, wacky shit happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lightning. Taker's music. It's the Brothers of freaking Destruction, y'all.
More pyro than we've seen in a while.
For me,
Right.
man, I when as soon as they started coming out, I actually tried to like be as like focused on what was. I feel like we're on borrowed time with the amount of times we're going to see this happen.
Right.
We could be 6 months away from both of these guys being retired, and like so when they came out tonight, I really was just focusing and watching and trying to just relive my childhood. Man, it was so cool.
Yeah, wasn't it?
I love having them together. Yeah.
Right. And I'm conflicted on this segment, I've got to say, because as awesome as it was and as chill inducing as that entrance was, I would have liked to see a little bit more of God mode Bray Wyatt. I mean, you got to think Bray Wyatt having absorbed the powers of the Brothers of Destruction, you know, I would have liked to see him kind of just tanking people all, you know, left and right, you know?
And no selling.
Right, exactly. Someone like that, I mean, you got to think there's nothing
Especially,
that could hurt him.
You know, you're making a good point, especially because Taker and Kane had that moment where they did the sit-up
I
spot.
thought that after Bray got chokeslammed, he was gonna
He
sit
might
up.
do that too. Yeah.
Like after like 10 seconds, he would just like
See,
sit
yeah.
up.
Ty Matthews, you ruined it for me,
And
because he's right, but I didn't notice all that. I was just like,
it was
geeking
a
out, like,
phenomenal
watching it.
segment. It certainly wasn't not amazing,
Right.
But I was really excited to see where they were going to go. I mean, you saw how excited I was after his promo where he had absorbed their pyro powers, you know, something like that.
I don't believe this, but do you or either of you think that since we've seen corporate Kane more recently, that took away anything from this moment?
I totally agree.
I don't think so.
I do. I think she's right.
Do?
I mean, I think we always talk about how wrestling fans have short memories, but I mean, their memories are a little longer than 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So it would have been cool to put this at Royal Rumble. And I also mentioned Loquasto when we were watching the show. I go, this is the second time this year that Bray Wyatt has carried a feud with Undertaker. And I didn't know he was going to be in England, so when the music hit, I was stoked. So now it's a little bit less so than the first time. But
you didn't see the internet blow up earlier today?
No, I literally
look.
Yeah, I just turned my phone off on Mondays.
Yeah, it makes me think that the whole Bray Wyatt Undertaker thing at WrestleMania was so anticlimactic, and it makes me think they weren't thinking 6 months ahead, which you should be doing, but obviously...
Well, I think that they maybe assume that would be Taker's last or close to last match, so they're not thinking about
maybe
6 months or a year down the line with him.
So can we get into hypotheticals? Because I wanted to discuss this with you guys all night.
About 2-3 minutes.
2-3 minutes. Hypotheticals. 2 minutes. Okay, here we go. So
do it.
Is it going to be a Survivor Series match between Taker and his brother, Kane, versus Wyatt family?
That would be the common yes.
If so, who are their partners? Please say Finn Balor. You have the floor.
Right. Well, our producer, our sometime producer, Jimbo, tweeted at me, and I don't know if he's fantasy booking or if he thinks this might happen, but he's thinking it might be the Wyatts versus Taker, Kane, Demon Balor, and Sting.
Holy Jesus! Well, is Sting hell? I mean, what? I haven't heard anything about him since.
But that's perfect though.
Oh, yeah,
you have to do that.
But then who goes over?
I feel like they've been giving out
the younger guy.
You think so?
I think if it came down to Bray being the sole survivor, that absolutely should happen.
Yeah.
Too much. We see it way too much in WWE. Of hey, these old guys? They're way better than the guys on TV now.
No, I know, but that's the thing is, I don't think that they're going to bring up Balor yet because. They've been giving out Legends contracts left and right. The last
and I don't think they will bring up Balor. But I think if a Survivor Series match does happen, Bray Wyatt
that would be awesome.
Okay, so real quick, then,
Bray Wyatt has to be the sole survivor.
Who is it? Who's
the Boogeyman?
Boogeyman.
Who just signed a legend?
Signed a legend.
Yeah, good for him.
You can't put him in that match. I know we're all kind of joking.
No.
So who is it? Who can ride with Undertaker and Kane?
No, I love those four. It's just like, do they want to put Balor in a match and lose? But I don't see there's no damage. He's already the champion in NXT.
Maybe it does.
I think there is damage.
Maybe it does just end up being a 4-on-2.
Oh God. Elimination?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
But that does nothing for the Wyatt family, and it does less for Bray if he's sole survivor.
I think it absolutely does something for the Wyatt family.
I mean, Ascension would be in the mood, in the vein. They haven't obviously had the push.
I think they might have at one point, but not now that they're with Stardust.
That's true.
But God, it's a good question.
I just keep thinking of dudes with face paint, dudes who were dudes with that mystery about them.
We're gonna find out soon because we only got 13 days.
Yeah, we do.
So
I know.
It's kind of microwaved up as things tend to be.
But this is creating so much excitement.
It is.
And it's Taker's 25th anniversary, so the question is what happens. But you got to build to the future, so who knows? But Christian Cole, put yourself over.
Christian Cole on Twitter, just search Christian Cole because it's 2015. You could do that. And I'm on Paragon Pro Wrestling every Saturday on Pop TV. You guys got to watch. It's a great, brand new wrestling show hitting the scene. So
yeah.
There you go. Ty Matthews.
Ty Matthews PMA on Twitter, on Instagram, and can catch me on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, 4 p.m. Saturdays, KDOC locally, U2 American nationally. You can catch my writing, Alt Press, Smosh, all that stuff. Same every week, guys.
Both of us on CWFH as well. Cathy,
go. Yeah. You can find me on Twitter at Catherine Kelley and on Instagram at Cathy Kelley.
That's right. Wrestling and Padres t-shirts are available, y'all. Here's one of them. ProWrestlingTees.com/Wrestling and Padres. Also, the Whistle Sports Epic Tour Episode 1 dropped last week. So go to YouTube, just search Whistle Sports Epic Tour. Thank you.
It was good.
I'm very, very proud of it. Go woo woo!
It's basically Quasto hanging out with a bunch of drunk kids around the country.
That's awesome. Fun, Dad.
It's a lot of work. I'm very proud of the show. Another episode should be dropping soon. And we're going to Boston, not this weekend, but next weekend. Then we're going to Canada for the CFL Grey Cup.
Hey.
So just go to Whistle
I'm peanut butter and jealous. Whistlesports.com.
Hey,
didn't mean to interrupt your
That's all right. At Whistle Sports, at Jay Quasso, and Wrestling and Padres, of course, this week. Make sure you listen to us and watch us as well. Thanks so much, guys. See you next week.
Peace.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Afterbuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the Afterbuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterbuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of Afterbuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.